Coach, if you would, let's start there. Do you have a memory of Cam Taylor or bringing him back that we could start with, and then we'll take questions?
Yeah, I mean, it's the first. Everybody's talked about all the guys we've had from Minnesota over the years. He's the very first one that I recruited here many, many years ago. So he was kind of the first one to come here, and he was the first one to come here. And obviously, we've had a long lineage of guys that have come here and had a lot of success. So Cam was the first icebreaker, so to speak, I guess.
Questions, Jeff?
Greg, obviously we saw, and I know you guys didn't want to use Tyler's absence as an excuse, but we saw last year against Michigan State and Saturday against Illinois, when he's not in the lineup, how it affects things. Can you just talk about what you guys need to do again to compensate if he's not ready? And do you expect him to be able to practice today at all? Or
I don't know yet about today. We'll find out later this afternoon when we go. He didn't practice yesterday, so still doing different things, but wasn't on the floor with us. Obviously, the biggest thing, I mean, you can look at the stat sheet and the numbers and the rebounding and all that. It's the 3.5 years of experience. I think that's the biggest thing that comes to light. And that's in a lot of ways, whether it's something tactical on the floor, if it's obviously the scoring, the rebounding, the defensive things that he does. But he's been in so many possessions. He's played on 2 championship teams. He's been in end-of-game situations. He's just, there's things that no matter what you do, you're not going to replace that. So what other guys need to do is use their experience or their experiences to continue to get better and learn from it. And I think there's good opportunities there for Carter to, obviously he has more minutes. Marcus has gotten more minutes. Chris has gotten a little bit more involved in things we've done in practice specifically. But, so we have to use those opportunities to continue to get those guys better. And then when Tyler does come back, hopefully we're a better, deeper team. But I think it's the experience is the thing that really probably stands out the most.
kind of along those lines, the players, when we talked to them, talked about communication issues on things on the perimeter. Is that where Tyler is lost as well because of the experience being able to communicate and switch and everything?
Yeah, and the versatility that he brings. I mean, I can put him on anybody 1 through 5, and it doesn't matter which combination of exchanging or switching happens. I don't have to worry about who he's on, and a lot of what we've done is we've built a lot of how we play around what he can do as the centerpiece of it.
Todd?
Seems like the last two games, not getting to the line as much, maybe related to that too, where he does draw fouls and get to the free throw line. But I wonder, just in a bigger perspective, what do you see as being maybe one of the things that's stopping you from, getting there as much as you did earlier in the season?
Well, I think you're always going to see as you get to league play, the scouting reports, as we have talked about a lot, change a little bit, get more in depth. We know each other better. So there's not as maybe you're looking to take away strengths or minimize those things. Maybe not as many fouls are called when we're getting into league play. I won't comment about any of things that would be related to that, but could be a variety of things. It's also personnel driven. We got to the line a lot last year predominantly because of what Johnny did and his ability to attack. And Tyler obviously has that. I think Steve can get fouled more and get to the line more, although his production has been good. Chucky's same thing. But I'm still trying to get other guys to understand and embrace how important that is, whether it's driving the ball and then how you're finishing. We've gotten the ball there. Are we finishing strong? Are we playing off 2 feet? Are we adding an extra pivot? Pump fake if necessary, or are we fading away, jumping out of bounds, jumping off 1 foot, avoiding contact? So some of it's personnel driven, some of it the personnel has to execute better when we do have the ball there.
Greg, just talking about Saturday's loss from a constructive standpoint, what are some areas of improvement that you felt like were kind of exposed and you want to work on moving forward?
Well, I mean, I thought we were good until towards the end of the first half defensively. I thought we had a couple of miscues with Hawkins that got him going, and one with Epps. They gave him a 3. We got caught too deep in terms of loading the backside. And in the second half, I thought defensively, offensively we were efficient enough to have success, but defensively we had way too many miscues, and you can't, even though he's a 28% career three-point shooter, giving that many looks to specifically Hawkins. And there was other things in terms of dribble penetration and those things, but the outlier, I think, was how we gave up an abnormal number of pick and pop or slide out, or didn't handle that exchange well as we've had it handled it earlier in the year.
Greg, on Saturday, you mentioned that Connor obviously had a lot to learn from both ends of the floor. After watching the film, what are some areas that kind of stood out to you from his performance?
Well, I mean, everything from tagging shooters and staying more attached on chases to, recognizing when you need to exchange a screen, handling the ball, keeping the ball in front of you, and footwork and technique and those things. So that pretty much surmises everything that happens defensively. So I would say there's a lot of things that he is, and it's learning. I mean, that's the biggest thing. We've seen a lot of freshmen come through here that have had, their head spinning defensively, and he's not the first. He probably won't be the last.
You've gotten to know him a little bit, obviously, through the recruiting process and this season. How would you expect him to handle it? Because he tweeted out something, learned a lot today, I've got to grow, or something like he has to grow from it. How do you anticipate he will handle it moving forward?
I think he's handled it. He's handled everything well. He's very coachable. He knows. I mean, it's not me talking to him about his defense is not shocking to him. He's known that since when he got here in June. And part of it's not going to be fixed by today. Part of it's much like what I mentioned with Marcus last week, is 2 doors down in the weight room. It's a maturity process and developing a physicality, and not that he doesn't want to play physical, but he's got to get to a point where he can swing a bigger hammer.
What have you seen develop with Chucky's decision making in terms of knowing when the three-pointer is the best option and when maybe there's a better look somewhere else, or a better point in the possession to shoot a three?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's gotten better with it in terms of those decisions. I thought he got better in the second half. I thought he really, a couple three-point plays. He got deep in the paint and pivoted and found Steve. They're just simple plays that I mentioned about. You talked about the free throws and the playing off 2 feet and playing strong and going through contact and finish at the rim. Yesterday's film showed Chucky in those situations, and it's a good example for the younger guys, and not necessarily younger, less experienced guys, that this is what it looks like when you do it well. And so I think he can still distribute it more. I think part of it's teammates being ready for when it's coming. Being able to. A lot of it's the finishing in the paint, and I think he really, he gave us a little life there in the second half by getting to the paint and finishing. And like I said, the play with Steve was textbook. I mean, that's exactly how we drill it and scheme it and those things. So he's got to continue to do more of that, and other guys got to emulate some of the things he does.
Greg, you've talked at length over the years how when you have a young player and he starts having some success, teams look at him and say, okay, now he's on the scouting report more. And that's becoming obvious with Connor.
Right.
Did Illinois make more of a concerted effort than other teams had to say, you're not going to do certain things against us, we're going to make it harder for you?
Yeah, I don't think Illinois is the first team that's understood that he shot the ball really well and tried to chase him around and stay attached with him. I mean, Minnesota did that. Heck, I remember back to playing Kansas, and when he did get loose, there was a obvious uproar from the other sideline with their staff about how they had let him get loose. So, I don't think that's today's world. The film gets out, heck, before you play. If we don't have film on somebody, if they're new, we'll go back and dig up high school and AAU film just to get a feel for their game if we're not familiar with them. So, in today's world, I don't think you're going to surprise anybody.